Hey everyone, welcome to the first annual Desmond's Flicks Christmas special. I've got my good buddy Burton from Local Legends YouTube channel. So what is up, Burton? How you doing, man?
I am doing great. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you again for inviting me, man.
Are you into Christmas horror movies like in general?
In general, yeah. I lean towards horror most of the year anyways. So whenever Christmas comes around, I'm still stuck in Halloween. So a good Christmas horror movie kind of snaps me back into how I like to watch movies.
Totally, dude. And the first Christmas horror movie I watched in December was actually the first movie we're getting into, which I don't know if you'd ever heard of it before this year, but I just heard about this movie like maybe 1 or 2 months ago because of Vinegar Syndrome. And it's Deadly Games, also known as Dial Code Santa Claus. Had you ever heard of this movie before?
I don't remember ever hearing about Deadly Games, but I do remember vaguely hearing about Dial Code Santa Claus. The original name, I believe it was. I do remember somebody saying something about it, but other than that, I had no idea what the movie was about.
This to me is like such a hidden little gem, and I got convinced to buy the Vinegar Syndrome after watching this movie. We're going to be going into spoilers for both of these films, by the way, guys. So if you haven't seen them and you want to watch them, which it sounds like we both recommend these movies as it is, but Deadly Games came out in 1990, and it actually had a bit of a controversy around it because it's has a lot of similarities to the 1990 film Home Alone, which the director has gone on record to say that he would threaten legal action for plagiarism because they basically remade his film according to the director. Had you heard about any of this?
I did not, and I'm actually really I kind of feel like it is sort of like Home Alone, but in reality, it's much darker.
Yeah.
Much darker.
So much darker. Oh my god.
Wow. Like
Holy
Kevin
fucking
McAllister
shit.
would probably not have survived with Christmas ornaments on the floor.
No. Deadly Games is basically about it takes place in France. It's a French horror thriller, and it's this kid, rich kid, lives with his mom and his grandpa. And mom has to go work on Christmas Eve. So kid, who's like this tech whiz, he's able to set up his like own CCTV like thing in the house, which is dope. Like in 1989, he was doing this. And he has like he's like badass kid with like a raging mullet.
I want to say a couple things about
Yes.
that. Like the dude's hair was perfect. That's fine, but the technology that this kid had back in the day is stuff that we would only have dreamt about back then, which is not like saying it's super futuristic and crappy. It's not. It's very based in reality that you could have done this if you had the funding. The other thing I wanted to say was that's the house I never realized I wanted.
That house is a character in itself, right?
Oh my god. Could you imagine having a refrigerator that just opens up into a whole other room?
With all those freaking toys. So basically like this kid left home alone with his grandpa while mom and grandpa is he's not in good shape. Like he can't move very quickly. He needs his insulin, which is something that comes into play later.
Yep.
And mom is away working. This crazy Santa and crazy dude comes to kid's house and insanity ensues. What were some of the things that immediately stuck out to you about this film?
Well, there's underlying creepiness to it from the beginning whenever he's talking to that guy online. That, it's something that you still got to be aware of, especially today with kids and, how the internet is nowadays. It's the same situation back then. I don't know, just like there's underlying creepiness more than you would see in, let's say, Home Alone. Something that's more family friendly, because I'm thinking, you curl up with your kids like, hey guys, let's watch Home Alone. You'd be like, don't watch this, kids.
The grandpa in Silent Night Deadly Night would have shown to his kid,
oh god,
this is Santa Claus, kid.
This is him. This is what you look forward to. Get ready for Christmas.
And can we talk about how creepy this killer psycho Santa is?
Oh man, and he snaps. So I noticed right away that the kids all kids throughout this movie are just like, get the hell away from this guy. He's trying to be nice in first, and the kids still realize something's wrong with this guy. Do not go near this guy. And they're right to do so, clearly. There's something I would like to point out about the movie. The cinematography in that movie.
Oh, so good.
Holy crap. I'm watching it like, is this for real? Like, whenever, just the beginning sequence, the kid is playing, let's say, Army Man with his dog, and he's running around, and he's like sliding around the outside of his house, right? And then he drops his gun and he almost falls off the house. And I'm like, holy shit. And then it zooms out and the kid is on a deck. He's not going to fall off the house, but in that situation, I'm like, oh my God, this kid's going to die in the first 5 seconds of the film.
At the beginning of the film, when he's like running around acting like Rambo or like Commando, and he's like getting locked and loaded, that took me right back to being that age as a little kid and how, you'd play Army Man. At least I did.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You would look through that lens of a little kid that hadn't experienced, something awful in their life yet. And this kid's about to lose his entire childhood. But we get to see the kind of wonder from his point of view and this kind of dreamlike quality and like making up, his imagination, just hearing the bad guys coming after him. And there's something that changes once the killer Santa Claus comes down the chimney with the cinematography. It still looks very dreamlike and warm.
Beautiful
but once
shot.
the dog,
Beautiful
then the dog comes in, which I was like, oh shit, he's gonna fucking kill the dog. Like, fuck. And, it still has like that fun, dreamlike quality, and the kid's like, get out of here, go. But then, dude,
exactly,
freaking stabs the dog. And that's immediately when the cinematography changes and the color tone changes.
Yep.
Genius.
So smooth of a transition. And like you said, all the way up to that instant, because he's like, oh, leave Santa Claus alone. Come on, get out of here. You're going to get us in trouble. You're going to lose your presents. He's concerned about his dog getting Christmas presents at this point. And then 30 seconds later, everything is just different.
It was such an effective scene, and then like way later in the movie, he buries his dog and he's like carrying his dead dog. I was like, oh my God, this is so sad.
And at this point, the kid had gone through some shit where he had to, a spoiler alert, the kid ends up breaking a chair and strapping it to his leg so he can walk, carrying his dead dog down this hallway, music playing. Oh my God. I was
intense.
Wow. Kevin McAllister, no way. You know what I mean?
No.
I enjoy Home Alone. I watch it with the kids, but there's something else. There's something else in this movie. It is super enjoyable to watch. And that says something because a lot of people don't realize that probably yet that this is in French. I don't really care for movies with subtitles, but I would watch this movie again.
What were some of the things that were like, holy shit, this movie is like, this is something?
I honestly thought he was going to kill the kid's best friend.
Same.
Dude, I thought that kid was dead. I'm like, oh, you showed up at the last minute, dude. You're dead. You're not going to make it. And then he keeps getting closer and closer, inching right behind him on that bike. And the fucking kid falls down, and I'm like, you're so dead.
Oh.
You are dead. It's amazing. I thought for sure he was dead. That one had me clenching the seat like, oh my God. We saw the dog go. Now we're going to see a kid go.
I really thought it too, because I was like, yo, this movie's not going to pull any punches.
It doesn't. This movie doesn't. Like, it got lucky that kid even escaped, because he was not the first person that the guy had already killed in this night.
Which, speaking of, people that he killed, what was so well done about this film is that, yes, there are kills. Most of them are off screen, but they're done in such a way that doesn't feel like super gory or super graphic, but it feels visceral because of like the cinematography, the music, and the acting, especially by the main kid.
Right.
He was so fucking good.
That kid, he deserved some sort of an award, because that performance he gave, like just in his face, whenever they zoom in on his face, the kid, he's got some acting chops that he's got talent. He's got skills.
He would do these things with his grandpa where, he was looking out for his grandpa, and he would call him and be like, don't worry, Papa. I got it all handled. You relax and Don't worry about it. And while he's like bleeding out, he's been like stabbed in the leg by this killer Santa. And you see like the pain on his face, and he's like trying to like be strong for his grandpa. And speaking of grandpa, I loved grandpa.
Yeah, let's give it up to that guy. He tore it up the entire movie. His performance was perfect. He played the very lovable, oh, let's just do whatever you want, but I'm still looking out for you kind of grandpa, you know? And whenever it come down to it, I don't want to spoil everything. Grandpa, you know, he steps up.
There's another like really suspenseful scene with grandpa where he doesn't have his glasses. The boy has left grandpa in the secret room, but Killer Santa, yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
That one got my heart pumping as well. I was like, are you serious? This is what's going to happen?
He got so close, and that Killer Santa almost got him, but the kid got him and then hit him in the freaking like the knight's armor.
What was great about that was the knight's armor was held up by a freaking wire, so the old man didn't even have to stand that long. You know what I mean? He literally like just had to hang out.
just hang out here, Grandpa.
Just literally. Out. Wink, wink.
Which sets up like another really great suspenseful moment because he's like, I need my insulin.
Yep.
And he's got to get all the armor off to be able to do that. Which is just like that. That's one of the things that I loved about this film is the suspense. So suspenseful.
That, and you know, you think you're getting towards the end of the movie, you think everything's okay now. And it gets to that point, you know, and he turns around and shit's still not okay, man. This Santa Claus is fucking ruthless.
Holy shit, this guy is fucking creepy.
His face looks like you can almost trust him. But there's still something you don't want to trust about this guy.
Like once he starts spraying that like snow stuff all over his hair and he starts laughing, I was like, oh, this is gonna get really fucking dark. Like it was already getting dark, but this was like, oh, this shit's gonna be really fucking darker than I was expecting.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but he snapped in such an easy way that makes you think that he has a past that we don't know about. That would be interesting to hear about. Like, what has this guy done in the past? You know, because this isn't his first time doing this.
You mentioned at the beginning when we started recording about how even the kids at the beginning of the film saw him and were like, oh, there's something off about this dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him. I don't know. Like I said, he seems like he's got this face that he almost looks like a child himself, but then he just snaps and he becomes this completely other person that I honestly didn't see him going this way. But even before he snapped, he was already talking to that kid online. He snapped, but did he really snap, or was he just waiting for an opportunity to have an excuse?
Yeah, I took it as him just being this fucking psycho that I could see this kind of person just hopping on trains going from town to town and doing this kind of shit, and just, you know, murdering little kids. There's something predatory about him. Like, you're like, oh god, this is like, he's so freaking creepy, especially on that computer, and especially like when he slaps that one kid when he's Santa for a little bit.
All the kid says like, you're not the real Santa, smack. It was like, you escalated that really quickly. Did you think you were the real Santa? I tell you one scene I did not care for the way it was set up, but it was still like a neat scene. I can't say I didn't like enjoy watching it. I was still on the edge of my seat. But the grenade scene, mainly the way like it kind of played out, mainly the ending of it, because like I said, I like this movie. I'm not trying to bash on it for anything. Movie mistakes happen, and I'm not a filmmaker myself, so I couldn't guarantee that I could do better. The scene, whenever it ends, it just kind of ends, and we're in a different spot, and I'm like, wait, what happened?
I feel you on that one, and I can agree with that for sure, because yeah, you're right. It's like the scene doesn't really end, like you said. It just stops. It's like, wait,
stops.
Yeah,
But
and that's a good point. It's kind of an odd scene that doesn't. It's a bit. I get what it's setting up, but I don't think it was set up the best way.
Right, like that's the one. If I was the editor, I'd probably like remove, but I wouldn't want to remove it either. That's my problem, because it was very well put together and very well shot, and the suspense is there. I love the soundtrack to this movie. It worked well with everything. A lot of it wasn't even in English, so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
What was cool about it was there was those moments where it had like that Rambo or Commando vibe when he's like getting all ready to fight. And I really appreciate what the director did with the two different montages. Because one montage is the kid still being a little kid. He hasn't been, traumatized yet. His dog hasn't been murdered and his life hasn't been forever altered by the psychopath.
Oh my God.
So as he's like getting ready for quote unquote battle with his dog, it's all, plastic toys and it's all fake. And, it's relatable when you were a little kid, especially in the 80s, using your toy guns. The second montage feels like it's closer to those action montages where there's like, there's real stakes to this. Because this is like a live or die situation. And then, of course, burying his dog. And it's like, oh no, this poor kid.
That was heart-wrenching to watch. But I don't know if you noticed this in the movie, but a lot of the snow, it looked great, the snow and stuff, but a lot of it looked like it was foam.
Yeah.
And that's something you gotta like really pay attention to. I'm like looking at that. Is that foam? That's foam. Which is obviously like a movie tactic to make snow look real. Kind of like in Halloween, all the leaves on the ground were just ripped up pieces of brown paper.
Right.
They filmed it at the wrong time of year, so they needed leaves. So they, let's throw all this paper on the ground. And then they picked it up, of course. But like, you don't got snow. You make snow. And it was foam. It looked good, though.
I can imagine, like, on a VHS, it would look fantastic. But
you
with
would
us
not
watching it
be
in...
able to tell.
Exactly. But HD and 4K, you see all that stuff, which adds to the charm and the ingenuity of how they were able to get things done with what looked to be a pretty small budget. This kid is smart as hell. He has the cameras all around the house. He's been like monitoring where the Santa is. He creates his own weapons. Like you said earlier, this makes Kevin McAllister, he looks like he's in a minor leagues where this kid's in major leagues.
Yeah.
Final thoughts and ratings. What did you think about overall about Deadly Games? And 1 out of 5, 1 being bad, 5 being like fantastic. What would you give it?
I would give it a solid 4. I mean, there are certain things about it that I loved, and like I said, I would watch this movie again, but there are also things that I can't forgive.
I would probably say I'm at about a 4 too.
Yep.
Really well done film. This is definitely like gonna be in my Christmas rotation from now on. But yeah, guys, that was Deadly Games. We're gonna take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we are going to get into our next film, which is Better Watch Out. And welcome back. We're about to get into our next film, which is from 2016. It's called Better Watch Out. And just like the previous film, we will be getting into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film and want to watch it first and then come back. Better Watch Out, basically about this well-to-do kid's parents go out for the night on Christmas Eve. Babysitter is there to watch over him. He has a thing for her, but someone apparently like breaks into the house, but it turns out that this kid is just a fucking psychopath. And he has this idea that somehow by acting like someone's breaking into the house, she will like fall in love with him or whatever. But let's dive deeper into Better Watch Out. How many times had you seen this film before we watched it for this review?
I think I saw a review on it once, and I've only seen it once.
Did your thoughts change at all between your two viewings at all?
Yes, absolutely. Because obviously if you know what's happening, you know what's happening, you can catch things. Kind of like that kid was always a little bit of a psychopath. Right away, I could kind of see this kid's, and once again, great acting on the kid. His face had that look of like, this is my world and you guys just live in it.
He's so good at being a little swarmy shit.
He is.
Oh.
He seemed like the kind of person that you have to watch him at the frat party for anybody that passes out. Yeah, he's that asshole.
As you were talking about that, what's interesting for me, this is like my third time I've seen this movie, and the first time I watched it, I didn't like it at all. I was like,
fair enough.
The fuck was this shit?
And then I'd say, hey, let's watch this one, and you're like, great.
Well, the funny thing is, I watched it again last year for a second time. I was like, let me give it one more shot because
Right.
all my friends were like, give it another watch. Like, it might grow on you more on the second watch. And the second time, I was like, you know what? I was wrong. I was totally wrong. This is actually a really good movie. This third time I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this is now in my Christmas rotation every year. This is like a new Christmas classic for me because, like you said, there are so many little clues and tidbits that are in the beginning of the film where it's like, oh yeah, I see exactly where this is going. It's all been laid out for you, which is just, it shows how smart this film was written.
I love that. I love that the whole thing plays out like that. And I also gotta love the fact that you hated it to begin with, but now you're like, no, it's actually pretty great. I agree. You know, as far as Christmas horror movies go, there are some great ones, and I think that this is a good one. I enjoy it. And there's like a lot of actors, like the dad is Joe from Family Guy. Who doesn't love Joe from Family Guy? And like,
And Virginia Madsen from Candyman.
yep. And she is such a bitch. Oh my god.
When he's like it's the husband and wife, and he's like, he's doing something, I forget what she's always telling him that she's like, are you sure you're not gay? There's a point where she's like, you sure you didn't suck any cock in college?
Not even once.
Not even once.
Like, come on, you ain't get drunk and stick one in your mouth? No, it was fucking hilarious because it was Christmas ornaments. Yeah, Christmas ornaments.
Your little shoes.
Why aren't any of these on the tree? And she's like, you're not fucking hanging those up on our fucking tree. And he's like, they're my Christmas ornaments. And she's like, are you sure you didn't suck a cock in college? And I'm like, oh my god. But he gets back at her, kind of. Oh man, the babysitter shows up. She says, you need to haul out the garbage. The dad's being a nice dad. Well, I'll go help you. I'll take the recycling, you take the garbage. They start walking in the room. She's like, new carpet. So they have to stop, walk back out of that room and around that room. And then he gets her back in like a great way because he's walking out with this awesome Christmas tie. Like, I don't wear ties very often, but what I do, I'd want to wear one like that because it was just hilarious. Yeah, okay. And she's like, you're wearing that fucking tie? Are you serious? He's like, okay, you're right. She's like, thank you. And he pulls out a completely different, just as cheesy Christmas tie. Kind of looks at her like, yeah, still wearing a fucking Christmas tie. Yeah, well, the guy can't walk into his own house without getting yelled at. He can't hang his favorite Christmas ornaments on the tree, for Christ's sakes. He's gonna wear a tie outside. I like that. I was like, this guy, he's got to stand up for himself a little bit, which kind of makes me see where the kid gets his assholeness from.
The relationship between the son and the mom, you already see that it's strained at the beginning. Yep. I saw on this third viewing how she looks at him in the beginning, kind of like there's something wrong with him. She keeps her distance from him.
She sees there's something wrong with him to the point where they set up the whole pencil trick on his room. She's like, I don't want this little bastard going around my house at night without me knowing it. That kind of shows you that she doesn't trust him to begin with.
I know we're skipping around a little bit, but this kind of ties into what we're talking about with the mom. It's near the end of the film. Everyone is dead except for the babysitter. Mm-hmm. And the kid is basically talking about how he doesn't understand why his mom won't go near him anymore, won't hug him or hold him, because when he did, he felt safe and secure, but there was a point where she stopped and he didn't understand why. Mm-hmm. And the babysitter is like, I know why, but won't tell him.
I love that.
And we see at the end of the film, the mom is holding him like she used to and keeping him close like she used to and calling him her baby and like not letting him go. And you see how content he is. I honestly feel like the motive was not the babysitter at all. I think it was to get his mom to act like that again, to treat him like a little kid, like a little baby all over again.
I'm not gonna lie, you explaining that to me right now, I'm sitting here before you said it and I'm like, this motherfucker's right. It wasn't about the girl at all. It was about trying to get his mom to take care of him the way she used to. This guy's got deep fucking seated mommy issues, and you just pointed that out perfectly, because I'm listening to you and my fucking like light bulb turned on, like, oh yeah. Think about it now. Whenever she says that to him, I don't know why she stopped. And she just says, I know why. Why? And then she just shuts down like, nope, not saying, I'm not looking, I'm not talking. And he just starts fucking freaking out.
His motive is so much deeper. It's not this, little kid motive. It's like, no, he's like been calculating this. And he's so fucking creepy the more you think about it. He's such a little shit.
Well, right before that, too, the girl says, you were never going to let me go, were you? Guilty. And I'm like, oh, what a bastard. What a little bastard.
Let's talk a bit about the babysitter and the kid and then, the kid's friend. I thought that the three of them, they did such a great job. It's really a very small cast in one location.
To carry an entire movie like that, it takes some talent, and they have it. Especially to work off each other as well as they did.
The way that it was directed too, like we get that great misdirect of us thinking, at least the first time, that there really is someone breaking into the house, that it's a home invasion Christmas movie, which even the way the film is marketed to an extent looks like that's what it's gonna be, and even the poster looks like that, like there's someone breaking in. But then the reveal of it being the best friend, being the guy that's like breaking into the house.
Yep.
We still don't have feeling that there's any real like stakes happening, like these kids are just going to get in trouble and that something's actually going to happen this time, that someone's actually going to break in and the babysitter's not going to believe them or something.
Like, not that it wasn't serious, but you think somebody else, a third party, is going to be, enter player 3 and then freaking start wailing on these guys.
That major turning point is when where he like slaps her and she falls down the stairs. And it's like shit's just gotten real, and the kid's not panicking at all because he had already planned for this.
Oh yeah. Something I want to point out, maybe you already knew this, the babysitter and the best friend, they worked together before in the 2015 movie The Visit. I never actually did see it, but I knew that they played together. They played brother and sister.
Now I see it. Holy shit.
So, obviously, that movie was 2016 was this Better Watch Out. So they had like worked a year before. They've known each other for a while, and that's why I think they, it obviously shows how good they can act off of each other, because they're like, well, these kids freaking nailed it in this movie. Let's put them in another one.
All three of them, besides the supporting cast, which is also fantastic. Can you talk about the whole like thing that they're doing where they're trying to like do a Mythbusters Home Alone thing with the paint cans? Because this fucking scene, I was like, oh my god, even this third time.
I want to not necessarily test it on a human or a dog or anything like that, for Christ's sakes. No, but I would like, how they did it with the Mythbusters? They had those dummies. I want somebody to try it. You gotta try that. Because now, like, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, it would definitely break the guy's nose, but it would not kill him. Oh, man, it was a beautiful shot, too. Just the way, because they don't want you to see the impact, but they definitely let you see the aftermath. And it's like, wow. That's interesting to watch the yellow paint mixed with the red blood.
I thought that was great, and it's also like, again, another indie movie. They did a great job of being able to like still have brutal kills without actually showing like the violence, but you get to see some of the aftermath, but it's shot in such a way where you don't need to see the impact or the gore or all the like, nitty gritty, because it's already effective enough as it is.
I'm sorry, I keep going back to this, showing that this kid was a psychopath to begin with. He was like very happy after every time somebody got hurt. Like he hit that one boyfriend with a baseball bat, immediately starts dancing. Kid's like knocked out on the ground. He's just like dancing and pretending to sing into the baseball bat like the microphone. But he also knows that he's like very weak. He turned around, that guy got back up and he like, ah. I was like, yeah, you messed up, bro. You messed up. But it also happens at the end, whenever he's trying to clean up everything, he's dancing. He's dancing through that whole thing. This guy loves it. He's in like heaven right there. I'm just like, this guy's a psychopath. And
he even kills his best friend, which that scene was like, to me, the most intense scene of the film.
Absolutely. And that says something. Because this movie does have a lot of those like, holy shit moments. And how sad was that? Because his friend was literally just the guy that gets pushed into doing everything. In that sense, it's like realistic. If with these, where you have kids that do this kind of stuff, where there's one that's
a total complete psychopath who doesn't have any regard for anyone's life. And there's like the tag along who's like, well, this is my best friend and I have no friends, so I can't, be ostracized. When you see him get shot and fly across the room, I was like, wow, this little kid just flies across the room and starts begging for his mom. It was so sad. And then hanging the ex-boyfriend in the backyard.
Billy in Stranger Things?
I was like, who is that guy? I recognized his face.
Yep, he also played the Red Power Ranger in the remake for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He's a great actor. I loved him in Stranger Things.
He was great with that mullet.
Oh my god. Not many people could pull it off, but he did for that show. Like, he couldn't like wear it around town nowadays. It's like, hey, this is just me now. Then it'd be a little ridiculous, but I don't know. I live in the Midwest, so every once in a while I see one in the wild and I'm like, there goes a mullet. Oh my god.
It's beautiful.
I don't know. It's like a unicorn. Can I take a photo?
Can I touch it?
Oh, yep, exactly. You get it.
Oh. So for you, Burton, 1 out of 5, what would you give this film?
I would recommend it. If I see any of these people in another movie, I'll probably watch that movie just because of that. Be like, oh my god, that's that kid that played that psychopath, and I got to check out what he's doing in this movie. On a scale of 1 to 5, I want to give it another 4, and that seems like maybe it's just what I like to go back to, but it seems like a solid movie.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Christmas horror staple for me every year. Going from hating it the first time I watched it to absolutely loving it the third time I've watched it.
Which says something for the movie in itself, that it gets you to change your mind. They didn't change anything in the movie in that time that you watched it, but the fact that it changed your mind, that says something.
Absolutely. And, like you said, hats off to the cast, the crew, everyone that worked on this film. This is a fantastic movie. And for me, I got to give it a 5. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't have one thing that I don't like about this film. And there's not one point where I wasn't engaged. Even though I've seen this 3 times, I still was like at the edge of my seat and still like,
Absolutely.
Oh, holy shit. Like, that paint can scene, holy shit. Fucking awesome movie and a new Christmas classic. So guys, that was Deadly Games and Better Watch Out, the first annual Christmas special here at Desmond's Flicks. And, this wouldn't have been possible without you, Burton. Thank you so much for being here. Can you let everyone know, again, about your YouTube channel and where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, thank you once again for inviting me here. I had a blast. My name is Burton Moran. You can find my YouTube channel at Local Legends Burton Moran. I cover legends from every state, basically. I also go ghost hunting whenever I can. I try to keep that one of my main focuses on my channel. I also point out videos that are obviously faking them. I have Twitter. You can follow me on there. And if you retweet my video tweets, I put you at the end of my videos and I give you a personalized shout out. So yeah, check me out there at Burton Moran on Twitter. Local Legends Burton Moran on YouTube.
And I've left links down in the description below in the pinned comment. So go and check him out, give him a follow, subscribe to his channel. Don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. See you guys later.
I hope it doesn't make a comeback though.
Well, what we're always like in those 20-year cycles. It's like we're getting into like 90s nostalgia, and the mullet was still pretty strong. It was going strong in the early 90s, so who knows?
I wish that was like true all the way back in the day, because could you imagine like if there was like a picture of Abraham Lincoln with like a mullet?
I would love to see Lincoln.
Edgar Allan Poe, just freaking mullet. Anybody from history, like Genghis Khan, freaking mullet.
He'd rock a mullet.
He would rock a mullet. But it's just like one of those things that, I hope it doesn't come back.
Anyone, for those that are listening, someone go ahead and like Photoshop some mullets on the people that we just talked about. Just for shits and giggles, for funsies.